Hello everyone, Prime at Nexus here, and as a lot of people know, I am a super fan of Star Wars.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
Okay, so I haven't read every book and I haven't seen everything that's been put out, but let's be honest, not everything is watchable.
Happy Life Day. Now, wait, not so fast. What does an old friend get? That's more like it. Happy Life Day. I love to make a Wookiee happy.
But I have done some deep dives where my interests lie, and with Disney Plus's new streaming service, a new series has emerged, a new Star Wars series, and along with it, wait, is that a freaking Yoda? Alright, yes, this isn't exactly Yoda, but it is one of his species. Okay, but why is that even important? Why is it important? We've never seen any other species except for, well, now 3. You got Yoda, Yaddle, and now the asset, or as everyone's calling him, Baby Yoda. Now, as I mentioned before, I may not have seen every single content that Star Wars has put out, whether it be like Lucasfilm before or after Disney, but I am still a very big Star Wars fan. I mean, look at all the stuff I have. Look, Star Wars stuff. Look, more Star Wars stuff. Star Wars. Star Wars. Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. But even with that, I don't know everything. But what I have gone to watch, read, and Google, Yoda's species itself is only mentioned a handful of times. Even George Lucas himself goes to say, so he's a mystery character. He's a magical character. He has no background. He comes and he goes. He's the subversive, secret, mysterious stranger that enters the film and then exits at the end. So now I know that particular statement is referencing Yoda specifically, Yoda himself. So where does that lie with the other 3? Well, it is still a mystery because out of all the 3, we still don't know what kind of species they are. Before we get into this, I want to explain the timeline. The timeline's counted in 2 major ways. There's BBY, which is before the Battle of Yavin, which is the battle that Luke shot the tiny exhaust port, blowing up the first Death Star. This battle takes place at 0 BBY. All the dates before count backwards from 0, and then there's ABY, which is after the Battle of Yavin. And all those dates are kind of normally after that. So Yoda was born in 896 BBY, before the Battle of Yavin. And he died 4 years after the Battle of Yavin, making him 900 years old. He's also the most mentioned, obviously, from his legacy, and it would make sense after being alive for 900 years, he'd be mentioned in a lot of things. In that time, Yoda witnessed the rise and fall of the Galactic Republic, followed by the rise of the Galactic Empire, training generations of Jedi up until Order 66, when they were all purged. And then training Luke Skywalker, who would go on to train the next generation of Jedi, which also doesn't end very well. Yeah, way to go, Luke. What I don't get is, it's very odd to me that Yoda was alive for 900 years, and not once did anyone ever mention or ask him a simple question. Master Yoda, like, where are you from, man? What's your species? Anything? No? Alright. Alright, fine. He doesn't want to tell us, so I'll ask this foxy green frog over here with the auburn hair that looks just like you. Of course, I'm referencing Yaddle. At 387 years younger than Yoda, being born in 509 BBY, is Yaddle. Yaddle? Yaddle? Yaddle. Well, as it turns out, Yaddle has even less information. Sometime during the last years of the Galactic Republic, Yaddle became a Jedi very early on. After the Battle of Naboo, well, she sort of just disappears. Seriously, not just disappears, but she's never heard of ever again. In fact, it says directly from her Wikipedia, she decided to take less active roles in Jedi affairs. That seems very odd. That is until 14 BBY. 5 years after Order 66 is given, there's a quick mention in the Star Wars game Fallen Order.
Growing up, we heard tales of a green, pointy-eared, legendary Jedi Master, and...
Are you talking about Master Yoda? Yes, he is very legendary.
Wait, what? Who? No, I'm talking about Master Yaddle.
The Jedi High Council member?
Yeah, we all have our dreams, okay? Let me have mine.
Now, I don't know how old, I think it's Grease Dritus. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but Grease. I don't know how old he is or exactly when he's mentioning that he heard these tales. If he heard them growing up, which would have made sense because it would have been while the Jedi Order was still in place. And this is, again, 5 years. The game takes place 5 years after the purge of the Jedi. When he talks about tales, I assume it's even back when Yaddle was still actively engaging in Jedi orders. But Yaddle was very skilled with the Force and could slow her opponent's bodily functions to the point of death. Now, some Jedi did survive the Purge, and this kind of power makes it very possible Yaddle survived Order 66. But also likely not, since she shows up as an illusion battling Vader, only a few years after Grease's mention of her tales. But then again, those were called illusions, and not Force ghosts. So yeah, that's my... Yaddle could have been dead or still alive at this time, and it could have been because it is mentioned as visions or illusions that Vader was having during this battle. So he could have just from memory as Anakin been seeing all these people and fighting Yaddle in that form. Or, you know, the portal making the illusions possible. Drew that out of him and put it back in his face. I don't think Yaddle is actually dead at this point or died during the Purge at all. Only thing for sure, whatever this species is powerful with the Force and lives for a very long time. Which brings us to our third, Baby Yoda. Or the Asset, as he's referenced in the movie. At the end of the first episode of The Mandalorian, it's revealed that Baby Yoda is the bounty sent by Werner Herzog's character, the Client. And the bounty is set for the Mandalorian to retrieve. This is huge. Besides Yoda or Yaddle, there's not one mention of any other creature of this same species. Still, nothing is known about them. We're only 3 episodes in, and we only know the species is powerful with the Force and ages very slowly. Now, coming to the aging process, this is how I see it. So, Baby Yoda is 50 years old by the time they find it, and it's still pretty young stages. But it can walk around and stuff. And Yoda died at 900 years old, and that seemed like the more natural death. He was just ready to give up. So I crunched some numbers, and what I came up with is that, like how dogs age 7 years to 1 human year, Yoda's, or whatever their species is, when Yoda died at 900 years old, human years old, he was only 75 in his species years.
When 900 years old you reach, look as good you are not.
Which is still pretty old and would make sense, would make a natural death seem plausible. Now, when it comes to Baby Yoda, he was 50 years old in human years, putting him 50 months, so about 4 years old in their species years. Which would make sense, because when we first see him we think, oh, he's a complete infant, you know, a little baby just sitting in a floating stroller egg.
Wait, they said 50 years old.
Species age differently. Perhaps it could live many centuries.
Eventually on, into episode 2 of The Mandalorian, you see him walking around a little bit more, which makes it be... And he uses the Force! So he's already super powerful. And Yoda was training Jedi at 100 years old. So about 8 years old his species. Now this is just how I'm assuming his species ages, and I could be completely wrong. We'll have to wait for more episodes of The Mandalorian, and maybe they will reveal more. I may even make a video on all the theories to Baby Yoda. How did he come to be? Was it through the Force? A Yaddle and Yoda love affair? Or by completely its own natural ways? I'll see you next time, and may the Force be with you.